The Mahanoy Area Historical Society presents the history of Lithuanian Day in Schuylkill County. When Lithuanian immigrants came to their new home in the United States, they brought with them long-established values of a strong faith, an even stronger bond with family and friends, and a love for music and song. Listen now to this hymn to Mary, known and sung by every Lithuanian immigrant. These established values, along with a call by priests to unite by gathering once a year to sing the songs of the hills and plains of Lithuania and observe ancient customs, began the tradition of what was called Lithuanian Day. In the 1920s, St. Joseph's Church Lithuanian Choir sang and later picnicked at Lakeside Park.
In the early days, Mass was the official opening of the Lithuanian Day tradition. Many of these Masses were held at the first Lithuanian church in the United States, St. George's, Shenandoah. Devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary was strong in Lithuania, and in her honor, the date of her Assumption into heaven, August 15th, was designated as Lithuanian Day. So many miners attended this event that the mines closed.
The Lithuanians chose a site in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania called Lakeside Park for their annual gathering, partly because the large Lithuanian population in the county. Located near the East Mahanoy Junction train station, it was a pleasant sight in the fresh air, far from the dust of the coal mines. Most visitors traveled by train, loading their baskets, blankets, and babies at their train depots in Shenandoah, Mahanoy City, Tamaqua, Mount Carmel, Culpmont, Wilkes-Barre, and Scranton. Pictured was their destination, the East Mahanoy Junction Station, a short walk to Lakeside and Lakewood Parks.
When I was a child many years ago, there were 3 important holidays in my year: Christmas, Easter, and August the 15th. Lithuanian Day. Christmas and Easter were the layers on the cake, and Lithuanian Day was the icing. A week before the big day, my mother started preparing the food for the picnic. What food it was: breaded pork chops, bundukis, messina dershra or dashlis, barshai, dill pickles or oguki, and all the other Lithuanian foods, homemade bread and cakes, baskets and baskets of goodies. There was homemade root beer, and for them, the men, beer, schnapps, and virtus. As the spirit of those early Lithuanian immigrants looked down upon us, their children and grandchildren, I say to my mother with great pride, Nemermissum Lietuva.
It should be noted that whether it was because Mass began the day or because it was the custom of the time, women wore their finest dresses despite the heat of August.
Singing in the grove and boating were also part of the celebration at Lakeside.
Riding on the amusements was a special treat at Lakeside. One of the rides was an early merry-go-round, powered by a steam engine.
This rare Robert Skeeth photo, features the turn in the old Lakeside roller coaster near Old Route 45. In 1925, visitors displayed pins labeled with the city of their birth. This one features Vilnius, the Lithuanian capital.
In 1916, Lakewood Park opened less than a mile from Lakeside and a few hundred yards from the train station. Here, too, the crowds came on trains and walked to the park. Pictured are members of the Schuylkill family enjoying the short walk from the train station to the Lithuanian Day celebration.
By 1917, the Pennsylvania State Highway paving project reached the Mahanoy City area, and the building of State Highway number 45 began in Rhine Township. This paving project picture looks east, showing the Mahanoy Tunnel homes on the right, the cement mixer in the rear, and the cement leveler in the foreground.
This new paved road meant new transportation as the parks grew. The Mowers family captured this photo from 1926 of a line of cars waiting to get into Lakewood Park. Anne Klizaswargo described how joyful we were when everyone sang the lovely Lithuanian folk song Mudu du Brolokai, Tre Sestes.
Celebrating their arrival and waiting to enter Lakewood, this fun-loving group poses on the new highway across from the park entrance. In 1926, the remarkable group of Swirsky women came to fully record the experience of the first Lithuanian Day at Lakewood Park. Their photos can be seen not only at the entrance, but earlier, walking to the park and here on the grass by the Lakewood Ballroom. Hundreds of stories revolve around the annual trek to Lakewood on the eve of Lithuanian Day, to sleep on the picnic table, to reserve a spot for the next day. A most popular site, protected from the occasional rain, was under the big shed.
The Alansky-Lobachevsky family attended Lithuanian Day as an annual ritual. Even on a rainy day, their group was prepared and comfortable. Tucked under the shed at a picnic table with a colorful linen tablecloth, a case of Posties soda, and a bucket of water to rinse your beer glass, they reminisced. Quite artistically, the family painted their barrel container in the colors of the Lithuanian flag. At times, the Alansky-Lobachevsky clan set up tables in the grove. On one of the tables, in jars, are the gurkis, a required delicacy at every gathering. In the distance on the right is the underpass of the stream going under the road just as it exists today.
Each year, they packed their playpens, their food, and the red, yellow, and green fresh flowers that decorated their table. On this day, all nanas wore their pearls.
The Valinsky family also planned for Lithuanian Day each year, what they would wear, what they would bring, and how they would get there. Maybe even more popular than traveling to the lake by car was coming by truck, which was sometimes rented for the day. Not only could you bring the whole family, but you could load your baby carriage, crib, picnic basket, and barrel of beer. Located near the stream, the Valinsky table found a perfect spot for viewing the annual tug-of-war across the water. This video of a tug-of-war is performed at the Lithuanian festival held in Vilnius, Lithuania every 4 years. This production includes 7,000 participants from 4 to 80 years of age. The Lakewood rendition of the tug-of-war is described in various forms. Some say it was a battle between Shenandoah and Mahanoy City. Others report that it was northern Schuylkill County against southern Schuylkill County. No matter who the participants were, there was much cheering and groaning before one side was dragged into the water.
The Marshallonis meeting place each year was in the Kittyland Grove, next to the stream for keeping watermelon cool and near the train route where they could wave to all their visiting friends and relatives. Part of the three Marshallonis tables, this one appears to be for dessert and coffee. Bernie, the photographer, clarifies that what looks like a coffee pot is actually a pot for boilo, a homemade drink containing whiskey, honey, and spices. These four Alansky sisters, affectionately known as the Blaney sisters, could arguably be called the Boilo sisters. Each year they raise their glass to toast their heritage and family togetherness. For Kuchos, Christmas Eve dinner, every family made boilo according to their own recipe and were sure to save some for Lithuanian Day.
Close to the kiddie rides, the Marshallonis family children could jump from the picnic tables onto the whip, helicopters, cars, planes, Ferris wheel, kiddie coaster, and ponies, all within the sight of their parents. These cousins enjoy a quick drink and snack before returning to their play.
One of four original Kittyland rides, the whip was modeled after the adult version and whipped the rider around the turn as the car traveled around the track. These cars were the second of original Lakewood rides. Child-sized metal cars attached by rods guide the driver around in a circle.
Built by Lakewood master carpenter Bill Costa, the kiddie coaster provided thrills as exciting as the big silver street coaster. A motorized chain pulled the car up a large hill, giving the coaster enough momentum to go to the stream and return to Kittyland's shade.
Also near the stream in Kittyland were the Dereskavage, Osler, Grigalonis families. Pictured here is one kind young boy feeding his sister a large, sweet candy apple from Altof's. Waffles and ice cream, a peanut sundae, or a candy apple were a must-treat from Altof's.
Across the road from Kittyland and the stream was the pool and lake area, inviting bathers on a steamy August day.
Wading in the shallow water, sunbathing in the grass, or jumping on the rafts were all fun activities, but one of the most challenging was riding the toboggan. To ride the wooden sled, the swimmer had to climb the wooden steps about 25 feet high while carrying the heavy toboggan, then place it on the rails and push.
This photo of the pool shows the bottom of the toboggan ride, where riders had to scurry away before the next sled came down. In the background to the right is the ice house. To the far right is the adult wooden roller coaster. Standing nearby, ready to help a young girl who wanted a ride, was this strong man, anxious to carry the toboggan up the steps and join the gal in the ride down.
For the very young, Lakewood had a kiddie pool, a cement structure filled with water about 12 inches deep. A fountain in the middle and sand nearby provided the littlest child with lots of fun.
Yet another favorite spot to picnic was across from the kiddie pool under a small shed. It was there that the Dereskavage Grigalonis Lithuanians gathered. The women sang old songs, the men played the card game Hawsey, and the kids roamed the park morning until night.
Music has been a vital part of Lithuanian life, with many immigrants bringing their instruments and joy of singing with them. Mahanojas Lietuvikas Minor Orchestra, the Mahanoy Lithuanian Miners Orchestra, was an ensemble of Lithuanian immigrants from the Mahanoy city area.
Muzikantai, pagrakite! Jau visi veselininkai susirinko. Jau ir svota su svočia ateina, muzikantai, pasitikite su maršu.
In 1930, a new Lithuanian orchestra from Monoi City, known as the Pennsylvania Coal Miners, recorded a song entitled Mahanoy Women.
Labai gražios kaip poniukės, karpa plaukus garbinoja, kitų vyrus jos vilioja. Moterėlės jos mandruskos, jos be vyrų kaip be druskos.
Another part of Lithuanian culture taught to its children was Lithuanian folk dancing. This photo from 1956 is of a group of children from St. Joseph's Lithuanian School, Monty City, standing in front of the Lakewood Park ballroom. Their teacher-coach was Rose Consavage, whose family gave us these photos.
In Pennsylvania and neighboring states, Lithuanian folk dancers practiced traditional formations throughout the year at their local clubs and were invited to participate at the Lakewood, Schuylkill County location.
On the 60th anniversary of Lithuanian Day in 1974, Lithuanian Committee arranged for the Cleveland-based orchestra Viruktatus to perform at Lakewood Ballroom. Their album shown here is autographed for Billy Savage of Lansford, whose family faithfully attended Lithuanian Day.
After the orchestra's performance, Bill Savage snapped this photograph of the group near the Walnut Room of the Lakewood Ballroom, which was just up the hill from their picnic table.
Lithuanian Day was always the most popular day at Lakewood, exceeding the huge railroad workers' picnics and all other ethnic days. Pictured is the 1950-era crowd between the carousel to the right and the midway to the left. Along the lake towards the original ballroom, skating rink, and beer garden was a popular site for playing games and getting photographs, the Penny Arcade. Pictured here during World War II are soldiers proudly displaying their allegiance to the USA. Up the hill from the arcade was the Funhouse, or Laugh in the Dark, a not-so-scary ride or walk through nowadays, but walking through a crooked, dark building with pop-up and pop-out features was enough to earn ice cream from the famous Altoff stand next door.
A ride enjoyed by the Swirsky Gals, early visitors to Lithuanian Days at Lakewood, was the original Lindy Loop.
The updated Lindy Loop was the background for these Lithuanian entrepreneurs, the Laura Savage family, selling their farmer's cheese in front of the ballroom.
Most daring of all the adult rides was the Wild Mouse. Squeezed into a small car high above the ground, the ride twisted around curves, giving the rider the feeling of going off the edge.
Next to the train, the most popular ride at Lakewood was the carousel, called the merry-go-round, flying horses, or sometimes just the ride with the rings. Grandparents and the very young rode around on the magnificent 55 German carved animals. The Spillman manufactured masterpiece was one of only 3 made with horses carved by Luff, a Wurlitzer organ, and hundreds of lights and brass rings. Here, Anne-Marie Hanley enjoys her annual ride with her children. Once the park closed, interest in purchasing one or more of the hand-carved animals of the carousel was intense. Bidding was high, but Frank Guinan wanted the treasure to remain intact. Finally, after several years of advertising, the Grand Rapids Museum, Michigan, expressed the willingness to purchase the whole carousel, restore the animals, reorgan, and construct a new building to house it along the river in downtown Grand Rapids. During opening celebrations, President Gerald Ford and his wife enjoyed a ride. On the day the caravan of long-haul trailers arrived to carry the animals to Michigan, the Guinan family took their last ride. Here, left to right, are Janet Guinan Cunningham, Beth Cunningham, and Frank Guinan.
If there was a prize for decorated tables, the Savage family of Lansford might win. Colorful balloons hung from branches, streamers of red, green, and yellow were wrapped around trees, Lithuanian flags stood on table ends, and scrapbooks lay stacked to remember days past. This Savage family photo was taken approximately 40 years ago on the hill next to the current event venue in Catalpa Grove, Lakewood Park. The trees in the background are catalpa, for which the venue is named. These trees were planted in the 1920s by the Lakewood Park founders because they were a fast-growing variety with flowers in the summer. Historically, the Lithuanian Day Committee gathered in the Grand Ballroom with invited guests of celebrity status in the Lithuanian world. At the 60th anniversary in 1976, the Reverend Kazimierz Puvičius, director of the Lithuanian American Catholic Service, spoke of the importance of retaining one's traditions.
Women frequently dressed in traditional clothes, especially on the closing day at Lakewood. Here, Marge Valinsky and friends posed for a special memory. The closing of Lakewood Park in 1984 couldn't stop the faithful Lithuanians and their annual celebration. The very next year, Lithuanian Day was celebrated in Rocky Glen Park. In 1988, Lithuanians yearned for a return to Schuylkill County and joined with other ethnic groups under a tent at Boscov's, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, to display their heritage. The Lucius family has been an integral part of Lithuanian Day from its first year at Lakewood in 1924. At the Schuylkill Mall, Elaine designed and displayed 3 large exhibits of Lithuania heritage. Her daughter Carol has learned the Lithuanian language and helped with promotion and public relations. Elaine's daughter Chrissy is a Margucci egg artisan extraordinaire. Husband Al grows pickles and dill. The 100th anniversary of the celebration of Lithuanian Day was held in 2016 at the Schuylkill Mall, Frackville. Krista Budvydas Bard, Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Lithuania to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, visited the celebration with her son. Once again, a closing, this time of the Schuylkill Mall, forced the move of Lithuanian Day. Once again, Lithuanians were not deterred. The Annunciation Church became the new home. Somehow, the entire festivities of food, dance, song, and genealogy fit into a church room and hallways at the Annunciation. The stage featured not only dancers, but musicians with ancient instruments. Food was homemade and plentiful, and familiar vendors brought delicious and beautifully crafted wares. In 2021, the Knights of Lithuania embarked on a new yet old tradition, a return to Lakewood Park, scene of Lithuanian Day for 60 years.
Gatherings begun long ago in Lithuania continue here today. These scenes from Vilnius must have inspired our Lithuanian ancestors to recreate the custom they called Lithuanian Day. In 2021, the Lithuanian Days celebration at Catalpa Grove was opened with a welcome by Knights of Lithuania treasurer Paul Damalakas, followed by the singing of the national and Lithuanian national anthems. Over the years, the entire Damalakas family has devoted much time and talent to the continuance of Lithuanian Days in Schuylkill County. The Lithuanian traditions of the old country are recreated and celebrated on Lithuanian Day at Catalpa Grove, Lakewood.
Amber, a product of the Baltic Sea, is often referred to as Lithuanian gold. One of the most popular are the vendors who appear each Lithuanian Day to offer amber jewelry.
In the past, Mass was held on the site of the gathering, including Lakewood Ballroom. In 2022, the Knights of Lithuania have restored the tradition and will be holding Mass at the Catalpa venue, Lakewood. Visitors rent cabins on Lithuanian Day to invite friends to join them to share memories, food, and friendship. What began by our ancestors as a loving tribute to their heritage, a desire to maintain their language, and a generous spirit to share their friendship, is celebrated today as Lithuanian Day. It is to them we owe our first thank you.
In the beginning, Lithuanian priests of Schuylkill County were active in preserving and honoring the Lithuanian culture.
Memories of the enthusiasm and organizational leadership of Anna Wargo, Bernice Mikatavage, and Helen Chesko linger to this day. They headed Lithuanian Day committees in planning Lithuanian Day for many years.
The Knights of Lithuania assumed the leadership of Lithuanian Day, expanding the seeds of their ancestors and bringing current Lithuanian food and workmanship to Lithuanian Americans. Their vision has brought visitors from distant states and money for Lithuanian charities. Most of all, they have brought together the spirit and generous nature of the Lithuanian people to sing the old songs and to share the stories of their culture.
The Lithuanian Women's Club of Schuylkill County was created by a group of ladies from Minersville, Frackville, New Philadelphia, St. Clair, Shenandoah, and Mahanoy City in 1937 and was chartered in 1942. Its goals were to socialize, educate, and undertake charitable donations. Gradually, priorities changed to a focus on educating young Lithuanian women and preserving the Lithuanian culture.
Marge Valinsky, president of the Lithuanian Women's Organization, has played many roles preparing for Lithuanian Day. She coordinated, fed, and housed vendors, made food, and sold tickets.
In August of 2013, John Yasalis of the Republican and Herald newspaper reported that James and Dorothy Setkavage, members of the Knights of Lithuania Anthracite Council number 144, which sponsors Lithuanian Days, learned that the State Historical and Museum Commission had approved the application for a historical marker to recognize that Schuylkill County has the highest percentage of residents with Lithuanian ancestry in the United States. The Setkaviches provided most of the research for the marker application. The Mahanoy Area Historical Society thanks the many individuals who contributed their photographs and memories to this video. We invite you to contact us at our website, mahanoyhistory.org, visit us here at Lithuanian Days, or at 1 West Center Street in the Rhodes Building in Mahanoy City.
Muzikantai, pagrokite! Jau visi veselnikai susirinku. Jau ir svota su svočia ateina. Muzikantai, pasitikite su maršu!
Vainika po kojų paminė, o kita dievsavę iš viršų nupynė. Rotų vainika po kojų paminė, o kita dievsavę iš viršų nupynė.
Muzikantai.
Labas, svotai. Prašau, svotelio, jau svoto seniai laukiam.
Dabar mūsų svoteliai pašauks. Čia. Muzikantai gerai graina, prašome išsigerti.
Tai dar geriau muzikantai pagrajysite.
Sveiki!
Arielka raudona, tu graži geltona, gersim, Arielka, gersim, Arielka, Oi, kaip aš numirsiu, aš tave pamiršiu, verksi, Arielka, verksi, Arielka,
Na jau laikas rengti jaunuosius invinčių. Eik vyriausias broli, atvesk jaunuosius už stalų ir dėk jie kryžių ant stalų. O verki seselė, o verki jaunoji, ar nenori seselė, tėveliui kloniotis, ar nenori seselė, tėveliui kloniotis, eikė per atlelę, pulkė po kojelių, pulk po kojų želių savo tėvelę, pulk po kojų želių savo tėvelę.
Mes tėveliai, laiminam jūs mūsų mėly vaikeliai, su didelė pagarba išleisdami invenčių. Su Dievu vaikeliai, velinam nuo pono Dievo laimės ir prašome atgal sugrįžti pas mumis.
labai gražios, kaip poniukės kerpa plaukus garbiniuoja, kitų vyrus jos vilioja. Moterėlės jos man druskos, jos be vyrų, kaip be druskos